My name is Alistair and I am a software engineer. I live in Seattle, Washington. I am 46 years old and until recently I thought I had a pretty good life. I had a stable job, a comfortable home, and a wife, Brant, whom I loved deeply. We'd been married for 15 years and while things weren't always perfect, I believed we had built a strong foundation of love and trust. Or so I thought. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Brant, who works as a marketing executive, began spending more time at the office. Late nights became the norm, and weekend work was increasingly frequent. I didn't think much of it at first. Her company was undergoing a major restructuring, and I assumed she was simply putting in the extra hours to prove herself. I made dinner, did the laundry, and tried to be supportive, always asking how her day went, even if she seemed too tired to talk. Then came the distance. Not physical distance, but emotional. Brant became less affectionate, less interested in my day, and less engaged in our conversations. We used to spend evenings curled up on the couch, watching movies or reading together. Now, she would often retreat to the bedroom with her laptop, claiming she needed to catch up on work. Our intimacy dwindled, and I started to feel like we were living separate lives under the same roof. I tried to talk to her about it, but she brushed off my concerns, attributing the changes to stress and fatigue. "You know how demanding my job is, Alistair," she'd say, her voice laced with a hint of irritation. "Can't you just be understanding for once?" I wanted to be understanding, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. My gut was telling me something was wrong, terribly wrong. The first real red flag appeared when I was cleaning out our closet. I stumbled upon a shoebox hidden on the top shelf, filled with unfamiliar items. There was a small, high-tech-looking device, a USB drive, and a handwritten note. Curiosity overcoming my caution, I opened the note. It was a list of instructions detailing how to install and operate hidden cameras. My heart pounded in my chest as I read the words, a cold dread washing over me. I examined the device. It was a miniature camera disguised as a USB charger. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Why would Brant need hidden cameras? Who was she trying to spy on? A wave of nausea hit me as the realization dawned. She was spying on me. The USB drive contained video files, meticulously organized by date and time. With trembling hands, I plugged it into my computer and clicked on the first file. It was footage from our living room, taken a few days earlier. I watched myself as I came home from work, made dinner, and waited for Brant to arrive. There was nothing incriminating, nothing that would explain her need for surveillance. But the fact that she was recording me, secretly, without my knowledge or consent, was a profound betrayal. I spent the next few hours poring over the video files, my shock turning into a burning anger. The cameras were placed in every room of our house. The living room, the kitchen, the bedroom. I watched myself going about my daily routine, completely oblivious to the fact that I was being watched, scrutinized, judged. It was a violation, a complete invasion of my privacy. As I delved deeper, I began to notice a pattern. Brant seemed particularly interested in my interactions with our neighbor, Isolde, a kind and friendly woman who lived next door. Isolde and I would often chat in the driveway, discussing gardening or the weather. We were just friends, but Brant's focus on these interactions suggested she suspected something more. I confronted Brant when she came home that evening, holding the camera and the USB drive in my hand. "What is this?" I demanded, my voice shaking with rage. "Why were you spying on me?" Brant's face paled as she recognized the objects in my hand. She stammered, trying to come up with an explanation. I can explain," she said, her eyes darting around the room. "Explain what?" "Explain why you felt the need to secretly record me in my own home. Explain why you don't trust me," I asked, my voice rising with each word. She started to cry, tears streaming down her face. "I was just insecure," she sobbed. I thought you were having an affair with Isolde." "Isolde, are you serious?" I exclaimed, incredulous. "Isolde is our neighbor, we're just friends. How could you possibly think that?" "I don't know," she wailed. "I've just been feeling so distant from you lately. I thought you were pulling away from me, so, instead of talking to me, instead of communicating like adults, you decided to spy on me," I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "That makes perfect sense." I know it was wrong, she said, her voice barely a whisper. I am sorry. I panicked. I wanted to believe her, but the evidence was overwhelming. The hidden cameras, the USB drive, the hours of surveillance footage, it all pointed to a deep-seated distrust, a fundamental lack of faith in our relationship. This isn't about Isolde, is it? I said, my voice softening. This is about something else. What's really going on, Brant? She hesitated for a moment, then burst into tears again. I wanted an open marriage, she confessed, her voice choked with emotion. I've been feeling stifled lately. I need more freedom. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. An open marriage. After 15 years of monogamy, she suddenly wanted to change the rules. I was stunned, speechless. You wanted an open marriage, I finally managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. And you thought spying on me was the way to bring it up. No, that's not what I meant, she said, her voice rising in desperation. I was going to talk to you about it, but I was scared. I didn't know how you'd react. Well, now you know, I said, my voice cold and hard. I'm not interested in an open marriage. I believe in commitment and fidelity. That's what I thought we had, but I need this, Alistair, she pleaded. I need to explore. I need to experience new things. And what about me? I asked, my voice filled with pain. Don't I get a say in this? Don't my feelings matter? She didn't answer, her silence speaking volumes. It was clear that her desires, her needs, were all that mattered to her. My heart sank as I realized the depth of her selfishness, the extent of her betrayal. I think you should leave, I said, my voice trembling with emotion. I need some time to think. I can't even look at you right now. Brant packed a bag and left that night, leaving me alone in our house, surrounded by the ghosts of our shattered marriage. I spent the next few days in a daze, replaying the events in my mind, trying to understand how things had gone so wrong. I consulted with a lawyer who advised me to file for divorce. The evidence of the hidden cameras and Brant's confession of wanting an open marriage were more than enough grounds for a legal separation. I felt numb, detached from the process, as if I were watching someone else's life unfold. One evening, while I was sorting through Brant's belongings, I stumbled upon something that would change everything. It was a small velvet box hidden at the back of her closet. I opened it, my heart pounding in my chest. Inside was a diamond ring, a beautiful and expensive piece of jewelry that I had never seen before. I didn't recognize the ring, and Brant had never mentioned buying it. A wave of suspicion washed over me. Who had given her this ring? Was it a gift from another man? Had she been planning to leave me for someone else? I decided to investigate. I took the ring to a local jeweler, hoping they could tell me something about its origin. The jeweler examined the ring carefully, then looked up at me with a knowing smile. This is a very rare and valuable diamond, he said. It's from a limited edition collection. Only a few of these rings were ever made. He pulled up a file on his computer and showed me a picture of the ring. This ring was purchased a few months ago by a man named Gideon, he said. He's a regular customer of ours. He's quite wealthy and has very expensive tastes. Gideon. The name sounded familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. Then it hit me. Gideon was Brant's boss, the CEO of her company. The man she had been spending all those late nights with, the man she had claimed was responsible for her stress and fatigue. A wave of anger washed over me, hotter and more intense than anything I had ever felt before. Brant wasn't just having an emotional affair. She was having a full-blown physical relationship with her boss. The hidden cameras, the open marriage request, the diamond ring, it all made sense now. She had been planning to leave me for Gideon, and she had been using the cameras to gather evidence against me, to make herself look like the victim in our crumbling marriage. I decided to confront Gideon. I tracked down his address and drove to his mansion, my hands clenched tightly on the steering wheel. I parked my car in front of his gate and rang the doorbell, my heart pounding in my chest. The gate swung open and I walked up to the front door. Gideon answered, his face a mask of surprise. Alistair, what are you doing here? He asked, his voice wary. I know about you and Brant, I said, my voice cold and hard. I know about the affair, I know about the ring. Gideon's face paled. He tried to deny it, but I cut him off. Don't bother lying, I said. I have proof. I know everything. I told him about the hidden cameras, the USB drive, the jeweler's confirmation. I laid out all the evidence, leaving no room for doubt. Gideon listened in silence, his face growing increasingly grim. When I was finished, he sighed and shook his head. "I am sorry, Alistair," he said, his voice contrite. "I never meant for things to go this far. It just happened, it just happened," I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "You seduced my wife, betrayed my trust, and you expect me to believe it just happened. I know I messed up," he said. "I'm willing to make it right. I'll give you whatever you want. Money, a new job, anything." "I don't want your money," I said, my voice filled with disgust. "I want my wife back. I want my life back." "I can't give you that," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Bront and I were in love." His words were like a dagger to my heart. Bront was in love with him. After 15 years of marriage, she had fallen in love with another man. The pain was almost unbearable. I turned and walked away, my heart shattered into a million pieces. I knew that my marriage was over, that there was no hope of reconciliation. Bront had made her choice, and she had chosen Gideon. And now I had to pick up the pieces of my broken life and start over. I filed for divorce, and the proceedings were swift and painless. Bront didn't contest the divorce, and she agreed to a settlement that was more than fair. I didn't care about the money. I just wanted to be free of her, to move on with my life. But the scars of her betrayal ran deep. I struggled with trust issues, with feelings of anger and resentment. It took me a long time to heal, to forgive Bront for what she had done. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions and develop healthy coping mechanisms. I focused on my work, my hobbies, and my friendships. Slowly but surely, I began to rebuild my life. One day, a few months after the divorce was finalized, I received a phone call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello," I said. "Alistair, it's Bront." The voice on the other end said. My heart skipped a beat. I hadn't spoken to Bront since the divorce. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice cold and distant. I need your help," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "My help," I repeated, incredulous. "After everything you've done, you expect me to help you." "I know I hurt you, Alistair," she said. "I know I made a mistake. But I am in trouble and I don't know where else to turn." I hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Gideon, he's gone," she said, her voice choked with tears. "He left me. He took all my money and disappeared." I was stunned. Gideon had left Bront. After she had given up everything for him, he had simply abandoned her. A wave of schadenfreude washed over me, a sense of satisfaction that she was finally getting what she deserved. "I don't know what to do," she sobbed. "I am broke, I am alone, and I have nowhere to go." I felt a pang of sympathy for her, despite everything she had done. She was in a desperate situation and she was reaching out to me for help. But I couldn't bring myself to forgive her, to forget the pain she had caused me. "I'm sorry, Bront," I said, my voice cold and hard. "I can't help you. You made your choices and now you have to live with the consequences." I hung up the phone, my heart heavy with a mixture of sadness and satisfaction. Bront had gotten what she deserved. She had chased after wealth and excitement, and she had ended up with nothing. I, on the other hand, had lost everything, but I had also gained something: a newfound sense of self-respect and a determination to rebuild my life on my own terms. I never spoke to Bront again. I heard through mutual friends that she had moved to another city and was working as a waitress. She had lost her high-powered job, her fancy apartment, and her wealthy boyfriend. She was starting over from scratch, just like I had. But unlike me, she had no one to blame but herself. As for me, I eventually found love again. I met a wonderful woman named Isolde, yes, the same neighbor Bront was so jealous of, who was kind, compassionate, and trustworthy. We built a strong and loving relationship, based on honesty and mutual respect. I learned from my past mistakes, and I vowed never to let anyone betray me like that again. Looking back, I realized that Bront's betrayal was a blessing in disguise. It forced me to confront my own weaknesses, to reassess my priorities, and to rebuild my life in a way that was more authentic and fulfilling. I am now happier and more content than I ever was with Bront. And for that, I am grateful. Life has a funny way of working out. Sometimes, the worst things that happen to us can lead to the greatest transformations. And sometimes, the people who hurt us the most can inadvertently set us on a path to a better, brighter future. I am living proof of that. So, to anyone reading this who has been betrayed by a loved one, know that you are not alone. Know that it is possible to heal, to forgive, and to find happiness again. And know that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply living well and moving on. This is my story, my journey through betrayal and heartbreak, and my ultimate triumph over adversity. I hope it has inspired you, comforted you, or at least given you a glimpse into the complexities of love and loss. Remember, you are stronger than you think, and you are capable of overcoming even the most difficult challenges. Keep your head up, keep your heart open, and never give up on the possibility of a better tomorrow.